Hello, everyone. Welcome to YakShaver sprint review and planning of our sprint 110. Let's jump right into it and have a look at our sprint goals. So our first sprint goal was to finish up the spike on how to add YakShaver 360 into the portal. We have missed that in this sprint. I will get into a few more details once we look at the backlog. The second sprint goal was to close the subscription state issue that we had with a client and look into some analytics and log analytics. So this has been completed, and for this one as well, I will get into details once we talk about the backlog. So in the internal hours, I was basically full day the whole week on YakShaver. Steven was had one day off, and then Tino and Rick just were partially on YakShaver. Let's have a look at the sprint backlog. So we, as you can see, guys, we've done a lot of items. The mention worth ones are the first one. Steven, can you give us a quick rundown on this task?
Yeah, sure. On our YakShaver desktop app for macOS, we had an issue when a user tried to download a YouTube video and process it. That was because YakShaver requires user pre-install Python. Now we have Python bonded with YakShaver desktop app. So the pre-request is no longer needed, and there will be no issue when a user tries to process video from YouTube.
Sweet, that's very cool. You also worked on the next big thing, which was tying into the sprint goal. Can you give us a little bit on this leaderboard cache persist feature?
Yeah, sure. So this one is one of our leaderboard endpoints. It's records the total YakShaver numbers being ever being shaved. So the issue was this endpoint being queried a lot of times, and also this is an expensive query. You need to go over all the database and cost a lot of budget. So we did a cache mechanism. When the endpoint is inquired, you just spit out the cache number every 24 hours. So it saves some budget on the Azure and also saves the log.
Thank you, Steve, for that. Then we have a whole bunch of bug fixes here that has been done. A done video from Josh, and also another bug fix, Tino here on the mobile view. Can you give us a quick rundown?
Yeah, so basically it is a mobile bug where the button looks way too big and very fat. So this is like a UI improvement. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you for that. Let's look at the recent velocity. So our current sprint 110, we originally committed 27 points. We delivered 17 points, which is a percentage of 63 in 5 days. However, this is due to some team members got dragged onto client work. And yeah, the team basically reduced during the sprint. In terms of research and development, there was none in this sprint. AI tool usage, nothing has really changed. Everyone is still, within their limits. Tools, nothing has really changed there. And let's have a look at the AI stats. And for that, I hand it back to Tino again.
All right, so in our AI stats, now for our Claude stats, what is done this sprint, the team has basically went through this part over here, which is summarized, and this is correct. And yeah, let's scroll down in our Copilot stats. Now, of course, Tom is our current Scrum Master, so he's the one running the show, so he speaks the most. And yeah, can scroll down a little bit more. Now, for the Copilot stats, for the main issues that is completed, it says here that the portal shows no active subscription when one exists bug. Now, it's basically a client subscription issue. So yeah.
So that was correct.
Yeah.
Decision from prior meeting. Yeah, during the call we made a few decisions and had a few discussions and shuffled things around, as well as in this section backlog changes from the call. Some issues have been modified and shuffled around. Nothing too important there. Backlog stats: 13 completed, 2 in review, 2 in progress, and 6 bonus. The 6 bonus came basically 6 additional PBIs that we dragged into the current sprint and worked on those. We have currently 749 open items. We committed 14 points into the upcoming sprint. Average velocity is 15 and 146 backlog ready. The 14 points is due to most likely some team members again going on client work. So we will have reduced capacity anyway. Cool. Now let's quickly look at the sprint retrospective. And for that, I hand the mic to Steven.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. So what went well for the last spring? Tom said we have fixed a client subscription issue very quickly with Rick, while Stephen runs sprint coordination and reduction interruption overhead. Stephen said lots of bug fix and UI improvements completed this sprint. And Tom also mentioned the teams closed several long-standing UI and UX issues on the portal. What didn't go well, as Tom mentioned earlier, we have unplanned client work, so it pulled out some team members, so leaving YakShaver running with a small core crew. What to improve for next spring? Tina said we need to define and agree a clear implementation-ready plan for merging YakShaver 360 into portal. And Tom mentioned we need to catch up with Rick on the in-progress work and organize explicit handover where needed. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Stephen. So that concludes the sprint retro. Let's look at the forecast for next sprint. So for sprint 111, we decided to pick these 2 sprint goals, which is to finish the Spike 3655, which is basically the handover that I mentioned in the previous retro with Rick, as he went on client work and there's some outstanding PBI that needs to be handed over to the team and finished up. And the second big important one is 3667, which was the previous sprint goal that hasn't been completed. That is, of course, the big priority in the upcoming sprint, as we want to finish up the Spike and then work on them in the sprint. So we currently filled out the sprint with PBIs, but if this finishes up early or as soon as possible, we will swap some of the PBIs out since we want to get started on this. The team, is just us 3, Tom, Stephen, and Tino for the upcoming sprint. We added, as mentioned, a few bugs and the 2 spikes that need to be worked on and finished. And there's basically the rest are some nice to haves. so they can be swapped out once the spikes have been cleared up. During the phone call, we got AI to make a few changes, nothing too crazy, but that worked pretty well. Okay, let's jump now to the AI stats. For that, I let Tino go through this.
All right, so we look at class stats again. The team has went through all these, what we need to do for the next week. And yeah, the summarization is correct. We go down to Copilot stats. Yeah, so the main next item is to finalize the YakShaver 360 integration spike, review, get sign off, and create PBIs. Now that is partially correct as it missed out on the second sprint goal, which is what we want to have Rick to hand over his spike that he's working on. Yep.
Thank you very much, Tino. And that basically concludes the sprint 111 forecast. We will upload the video, of course, onto our SSW YakShaver channel. Thank you for joining and see you next time.
See you.
You guys?
Where's the camera? There's one camera, there's one camera. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.